Okay, we have a three-step word problem here, and this is a personal video. This is a mail carrier word problem. A postal carrier can deliver mail to about 900 addresses in one day. In the city of Hewitt, there are 26,942 residents. And workforce policies require hiring 5% more carriers than are estimated to be needed in order to compensate for vacations, sick days, etc. So about how many mail carriers must be hired to deliver mail to all of the Hewitt citizens? And here's our choice of answers. Either 29, 30, 31, or 32. Now, this is a very confusing problem because the answers are so close together, all right? So residents is the same thing as addresses, okay? So if it says one carrier can do 900 addresses, that means he can do 900 residents, right? It's the same thing. And our information is that one carrier can handle 900 residents, and Hewitt has 26,942 residents. That's important. And it's important to know that they need to hire 5% more than actually needed. That means 0.05, right? Because that's how you write 5% as a decimal, all right? So this is a three-part problem. The first thing we need to do is divide 26,942 by the 900. And we need to get a quotient. Once we get that quotient, we need to multiply it by 0.05. That way we'll find out what 5% of those carriers are. Whatever this quotient is the number of carriers that are needed. Okay? That's going to be how many people need to be hired. Okay? Once we find this quotient and the number of carriers, we need to add 0.05 to that amount, to the carrier amount. And when we multiply the quotient by that 0.05 and get an answer, a product, we need to add that product to the original quotient together, okay? So watch how we do this. So we've got a 3-digit divisor here. And I color-coded it to make it easy on you, and I really could have kept going. If I kept adding zeros here, I would have gotten a better estimate of the exact answer. But I stopped when it got to 20 down here. So 900 can't go into 2 or 6 or 269, but it can go into 2,694 two times, and that would be 1,800. So I put the 2 above the 4 because that's the amount we're putting it into, see? And I did my subtraction, and I got 824, and it was the 2's turn to come down. And I asked myself, how many times can 900 fit into 8,242? Well, 9 can go into 82 9 times, because 9 times 9 is 81. So 9 times 900 is 8,100. See? We do 9 times 9, which is 81, and we add those 2 zeros. See how I did that? So now we've got 8,242 minus 8,100. That gives us 142. So I added a decimal point and a 0. Now, depending on what you're learning in school, if they just want you to do estimates, you could have stopped here and did 29 plus 5%, okay? That's going to give us a little bit different answer than 29.16 plus 5%. Now, if we're going to stop here and not add zeros, depending on how exact they're trying to make you estimate or do this, if we just did 29 and stopped adding zeros and said, okay, it's about 29, 5% of 29, we would multiply the 29 by 0.05 and we get 1.45. See, there's 2 hops in the equation, so we put 2 hops in the product. And when we add 29 to the 1.45, we get 30.45. Well, that rounds to 30. In that case, your answer would be B. If you're learning in school to divide with decimals and long division and adding the decimals, then chances are they want you to keep going and adding those zeros, okay? And when we add an additional 0, because we've got 142 left over, we add a decimal point, and we put it above the vinculum right here, and we drop our 0 down. Now 900 goes into 1,420 one time. And we subtract that 900 and get 542. So we still have a remainder. So we can add another 0 and drop it down and say how many times can 900 go into 5,420? Well, 9 times 6 is 54. So 900 can go in 6 times, that's 5,400. Now I got the 20 left over. And as I said, I could have kept going and adding zeros, but I figured that's pretty small for having 20 left over compared to the 900. So now I'm going to go with the 29.16, okay? And we got 29.16 as our quotient, and it's an approximation. So we're not going to use an equal sign. It's about that much because we didn't get an exact amount because we stopped with the remainder, all right? So we have to use an approximation symbol. What we do is we get 5% of this. They're saying they need to hire 29.16 postal carriers. Well, you can't hire 16/100ths of a postal carrier. It's a person. So we're going to have to round that off to be 29, right? So depending on how you do this, there's 2 different ways to do this. We can find 5% of 29.16 by multiplying 29.16 times 0.05. And again, we get the 1.45, but now it ends with an 80. See how it's a little more exact? It ends with the 80 because we continued on here, see? So you can either look at this as you can't have 16/100ths of a person, so just use the 29, or you can use this whole thing and find 5% of it, and this 1.458 can be added to that quotient, all right? That's the amount of carriers without the extra carriers. With the extra carriers, we have to add 1.45 carriers. Well, that's like adding 1 and 45/100ths of a man. You can't have 45/100ths of a man, can you? So that's what makes this a really strange question, a really strange word problem. And my heart goes out to you. So if we add this 1.458 to the amount of carriers without extra carriers, that 29.16, we come up with 30.618. All right, that's when they're added together. So you multiply the quotient by 0.05, and then you add that amount, that 1.458, to that quotient to get the extra 5%, see? And we come up with 30.618. Now, because you can't have 0.618 of a human, my guess is that you're going to round up because you need more than half of a human. You better add the extra human, right? So if you're rounding to the next number, that 6 makes that 0 turn into a 1, and then these all become zeros. 5 or more makes the next number go up. So I would say that the answer is about 31. My guess would be that the answer is 31. Because even if you did it this way, where we stopped, the 29 plus the 3 plus the 1.45 is going to give us 30.45, and you can't have 30.45 mail carriers. That extra 4 or 5 is going to have to be another person, okay? So it's better to have a half more mail carrier than a half less than that's needed, right? So I would say the answer is 31. That's my best guess, okay? I hope this is right for you. And this is a very strange question because it was all over the place and the numbers weren't exact. But it's a 3-part problem, and I hope I helped you. All right? Bye.